natural herbs and natural medicine that will have those preventative actions instead of trying to look for a cure. Come on now.
I don't want none of y'all to come at me talking about Reese, where you been? Reese, where you been? Bitch school, bitch life, bitch work. Okay? Also, happy Black History Month. Yes, I haven't posted. Don't attack me for it. You already know my page is all about Black people. So, did I really miss out? Don't come for me. Anyways, happy Black History Month. You know, I will continue to talk about our Black people, expose things, and let us be heard. Thank you very much. All right, enjoy the video. Also, just want to put a quick trigger warning if you don't like talking about drugs, big pharma, medication, mental hospitals, I don't fucking know, weed, alcohol, different things like that. If you are just triggered in any type of way, then this isn't the video for you. Thank you. All right, enjoy.
Oh, you're so cute.
Jumbo everyone, welcome back to my channel, and in today's video I'm going to be talking about why I don't believe in big pharma or necessarily hospitals, prescriptions, things like that. So if you didn't know, I am a very spiritual person, as I have said multiple times, and I just personally believe, going and looking back at the history of the things that we've been so indoctrinated to believe, and basically with that I have come to the conclusion that I don't want to prescribe no pun intended, to big pharma and things that they basically do. So the reason why I wanted to make this video initially was because of the show Intervention. If you didn't know, show Intervention is basically a show that is like a documentary about people who are on drugs, and they basically show their lives while doing drugs and showing their drugs, and even sometimes they'll be overdosing. At the end of the show, their families will basically give them like an intervention in order to give them an ultimatum, like you either go to treatment or you can no longer be in my life, basically. And the reason why the show made me want to make a video on this is because of the consistency when it comes to the stories on why people get started on drugs in the first place. So obviously trauma is a main factor to why people get started on drugs in the first place, but something that I've noticed within the show that is a continuous pattern is that all of these people have been injured in some type of way, and they end up going to the hospital or the doctors, and they end up prescribing them opiates, and which in turn turns to them starting to abuse their opiates and then start going and looking on the streets for the same drugs. I have always said it, and I'll continue to say it, doctors are your first dealers, okay? And the reason why I say that is because instead of looking at more natural alternative ways to heal people, we always look for a cure instead of a preventative measure. And that's another big reason on why I don't believe in big pharma. Ooh, she just hit that real quick. So what I mean basically by hospitals are always trying to find a cure instead of giving you a preventative measure, basically say that you have low blood pressure and there are different herbs and natural medicines out there that can help you with that low blood pressure, but doctors are going to want to medicate you in order to get you hooked onto the different types of drugs, and therefore you're going to always be paying them in some type of way.
I am a primary care physician, and I'm frustrated, and this is not what I signed up for. I'm tired of our sick care model, and I'm not choosing not to participate. I got in this to help people get well, not harm them, protect them, lead them, teach them, and that's not what I'm seeing in the healthcare system. And so I'm choosing to take a different approach as a doctor for the sake of people that are relying on us to teach them how to be healthy. Someone tell me why. Why don't doctors tell you to take something as simple as magnesium instead of a stool softener, knowing that the stool softener dehydrates your bowels? Why don't doctors tell you to take D3 in the winter? Because you can't get it from the sun. It's gone, depending on where you live in the country, and it radically improves the immune system and impacts your sleep. Why don't doctors tell you to change your diet? You know, when you're having heartburn or indigestion, your body's literally revolting against you, instead of giving you something like Prilosec or Nexium, knowing that studies show that they're linked to kidney failures and osteoporosis. Why don't doctors tell you to focus on herbs or certain foods to heal? Why don't doctors tell you to lower the toxic chemicals that are inside of your house, knowing that it's 100 times more toxic in your house than outside? That might be causing you your constant headaches or your allergies. All the fragrances and chemicals and the toxic buildup that gets into our cells are what creates these things. Why aren't you informed by your doctor that if you eat something as simple as a grapefruit every day, that it'll support lowering your blood pressure naturally and you don't need or might not need a medication. That's why a person that's taking a blood pressure drug can't take anything with grapefruit in it. The same thing applies with a blood thinner telling people they can't eat green food. Why don't you just eat the green food? Why doesn't your doctor tell you to take something like an activated charcoal? Because it just soaks up toxins for like your headaches, or maybe you're bloated, or you have skin problems, telling you that your gut is backed up, or you have, some kind of food poisoning. Because activated charcoal bonds those and removes them from the body. It's real simple. Why don't doctors tell you to use herbs or herbal teas to manage your pains or support your immune system or support your digestive function, knowing that these different herbs can help your organs? Proven. Have a lot of science on it. Why don't doctors, instead of suggesting you to take a prescription drug, why don't they give you something as simple as a probiotic every single day to help support your gut health and your immune health, knowing that we have all these friendly bacteria inside of us that need help? Why don't doctors create diets and lifestyle plans for patients instead of offering pills, when we know that over 90% of disease is due to lifestyle? Why don't we spend a majority of our time trying to prevent disease instead of treating it? Why don't doctors tell you to take something like a supplement to support your health prior to becoming sick, when we know that supplements and herbs can help prevent these things? Why don't doctors teach you to manage your emotions? Because that stress, that anxiety is going to lead to physical bodily damage, and the strain that you're under can play a significant role in your overall health. Why don't doctors take a real role in helping people be healthy in their lives? Doesn't make sense to me. Why aren't we helping people get healthy instead of taking care of them after they get sick? I think it needs to change. I believe that real health is possible. I believe that you're the solution. I believe that the greatest doctor in the world is inside of you. We're just messing it up. I believe it's possible for you to live good. We're just not getting the right information.
How else are pharmaceutical companies going to profit off of people if no one is taking their drugs? If no one is prescribing them to take those drugs in the first place? You see what I'm saying? If we want to take it back really far, another reason why I basically don't believe in Big Pharma is because Big Pharma was not created for Black people in the first place. And what I mean by that is basically the father of gynecology. The father of gynecology is J. Marion Sims, and basically what it says is that he was a surgeon. But what a lot of people don't know about the father of gynecology is that a lot of the times he experimented on Black women because white people had the assumption at the time that Black people could not feel pain, or we felt pain differently. Therefore, it was a justification for the things that they did to us, i.e. lynching, burning. Like, the father of gynecology performed all of these basically experimentations on Black women with no anesthesia because of how he thought they felt no pain. I personally think it's fucked up, especially back then, and a lot of the practices that he used back then on Black women and the instruments are still used till this day. A lot of people may wonder, how does that relate to Big Pharma? Taking it back then, John D. Rockefeller was a big, I would say, capitalist person. He basically said, I want a nation of workers, not thinkers. Within that, he was basically the person who came up with the education system and indoctrinated a lot of people. He said, okay, in order to brainwash people at a very young age, it takes at least 12 years to do so. Therefore, we're going to put kids in school from kindergarten to 12th grade, and we're going to teach them bullshit about stuff that doesn't even really matter, and that's actually watered down most of the time because they don't want to tell the truth about how history actually went down and how Black people are the creators of a lot of things. Come on now. With him starting up the education system, that also coincided with the medical system, and basically he said that if you want to be funded by me, you're going to have to use my curriculum and what I say should go in the books. That's what happened. The hospitals then integrated his system, and something that he was really big on, and especially back then that was really big at the time, was oil. How can we profit off of oil? A lot of the times is what people don't realize is that in those prescriptions is oil, and oil is a non-renewable resource. Therefore, if you use it as much as you can and make as much profit, that's all that matters to them at the end of the day. Okay, sorry about the lighting change and everything like that. My camera died, so we're back and we're better than ever. What I was saying is that because he had such a big influence over the pharmaceutical industry, they started to incorporate his teachings in the medical schools. Then when they became doctors, they would already know, okay, if you have this issue, prescribe this issue, prescribe this, instead of being like, okay, how can we prevent what you have right now to getting worse? Referring that back to the show Intervention, it can be seen a lot of the times that these people get hooked onto drugs because of the drugs that they were given after an injury. Now I'm not saying that if you get into a really bad accident that you're not supposed to be taking any type of painkillers or anything like that. But what I am saying is that doctors know what they're doing by prescribing people these type of pain pills and seeing the results of what happens. In result, there have been many addictions, many overdoses. I think even right now we're going through an opiate crisis because of how many people are getting their hands on these opiates. And like I said before, their first dealers are always the doctors. Another part that I just want to talk about a little bit is my belief and why I really don't believe that Big Pharma was made for Black people in the first place. Reiterating back to the fact about the father of gynecology and the way that he treated Black people, it can be seen that it wasn't made for us in the first place. And I just want to tell a little story. Last semester, I had this professor that me and her just bickered back and forth, okay? I'm African, so I definitely have a lot of my spiritual beliefs are rooted in African spirituality, and something that I wholeheartedly believe was the fact that doctors do not care as much for Black patients as they do as white patients. And I brought up the example of Black women are a lot more likely to die from labor complications than white women because of the racism in the system. I remember seeing things like Serena Williams and Beyonce almost dying because they're Black women, and a lot of the times they really think that we just don't feel pain the way that we do, and in turn we're treated terribly for it. So why would I continuously go to a hospital and tell them my pain if they're not actually going to help me, or if they're not going to see me like I'm an actual person? Let me tell y'all a little story. So if you didn't know, yes, I did go to the mental hospital back in my sophomore year of high school, and in turn I was put on Zoloft. Zoloft is an antidepressant, but for me personally, I knew that I never needed pills. I just needed to get away from the current situation that I was in. When I started taking them, I knew, you know, obviously they tell you it takes 4 to 6 weeks for you to see anything, but in my real, raw, and honest opinion, sometimes I believe that antidepressants are placebo effect, because why would I need to wait 4 to 6 weeks for it to kick in? And I know like they're gonna say like, oh, your hormones have to change, the chemical imbalance in your brain, but it's like I knew I didn't need medication, especially being 15, 16 years old. We are medicating a lot of these young kids, and I just don't fully agree with it. I really believe that there are natural remedies and herbal medicines out there that have been used for thousands of years to help people in order to get better, to prevent what is going to occur before it even starts. And this also goes along with the government and killing anybody who has the secrets, basically. Someone that I think about a lot is Dr. Sebi, and how he said that he cured cancer, cured AIDS. If you really think about the pharmaceutical industry, how much money do they make off of people being sick and people getting sick? Trillions and trillions of dollars. So if you have one man claiming that he can cure anything, basically, obviously you're gonna want to take him out, because obviously that's interfering with your multi-trillion-dollar industry. Anybody who has the secret, or anybody who is trying to expose the government in some type of way, they do end up, you know, which is pretty scary to think about. I'm also gonna say another very controversial opinion. Very controversial. And I know a lot of people are gonna be like, when they hear this, but I am not vaccinated. Oh my God. When I mean not vaccinated, I mean I did not receive the COVID-19 vaccine, and I also do have a exemption from getting the vaccine because of my beliefs. The whole reason why I decided not to get the vaccine was just because I knew that I didn't need a vaccine to heal me, and a lot of the times they tell you that the vaccine is to protect other people and stuff like that. And I understand that because, you know, whatever. But at the end of the day, this is just my personal belief. I've already had COVID twice. And the first time that I had COVID, I was with my ex, and he was vaccinated. And he had worse symptoms than I did, and I'm unvaccinated. The second time that I got COVID, I was still unvaccinated, and I just stayed home. And obviously I still had the symptoms, but it just proved to me that I know my immune system, and I know that my immune system is strong enough to fight off a disease like COVID, which is why I didn't feel the need to get the vaccine. Another thing that the media will try to portray in people's head is if you don't get the vaccine, you're at risk for spreading it even more. Okay, if that's the case, then why did my ex, who was vaccinated, we got COVID around the same exact time. We were both positive at the same exact time. We both got negative at the same exact time. His symptoms were worse. So please explain to me how that me being unvaccinated is more of a risk than being vaccinated. I can go a little bit further into that later and in another video on my beliefs on why I really didn't get it. But at the end of the day, these vaccines were brought out to be for profit. Everything is planned. And for a lot of people who aren't awake or, you know, just really knowing what goes on with the government, this was all for profit. Everything was planned. Okay? At the end of the day, y'all need to stop believing in the government so hard, because they really do not care about you and they do not care about your best interests. Why do you think that the US allows so much chemicals and different types of ingredients in processed foods in order to make you healthy? You think they do that to make you healthy? No. All of those different types of ingredients, I don't know some of the names, but I remember they were talking about an ingredient being used in a yoga mat was the same ingredient that was in, I think it was like pizza rolls or Hot Pockets or something like that. Those extremely processed foods are the reason why so many Americans are overweight and obese at the same time. And in turn, Big Pharma does that on purpose because we don't even realize that what those chemicals are doing to our body. Dr. Sebi wasn't fucking lying when he was talking about going on an all alkaline diet if you really want to see changes within your body and to heal yourself of all the different diseases. A lot of the times us being sick is just a warning for what our body is telling us. If you have excess mucus, that means that you need to clear this. If you have bronchitis, then you need to do this for your body. But taking pills and then seeing no change for years on end, why would you continue to keep taking those same medications that haven't been helping you over the past I don't know how many years? The secret that the government doesn't want to tell you is that you have all the resources that you need to heal yourself, but they want you to become dependent upon them so that they can keep making their profit. Why do you think so many people are sick and so many people have died in result as to not knowing anything about natural herbs and natural medicine that will have those preventative actions instead of trying to look for a cure? Come on now. This also really ties into the fact on what drugs are illegal versus what drugs are legal. And I was really thinking about making a YouTube video, and I probably will, about the demonization of marijuana, because it really shows that marijuana is still illegal and yet alcohol is legal. And this is where my spirituality really comes into it, because for me personally, I don't drink. I'll maybe take a shot like twice a year, but that's like the most you will ever see me doing basically. Or if I'm on vacation, maybe I'll have a drink, but that's about it. I just personally don't see the need to go out to drink, to have fun. I would rather stay at home, smoke my joint, stay in my safe place. And basically with me personally and being so involved in my spirituality, my personal belief with alcohol is that it is a very low vibrational thing, okay? This is the same thing that Europeans gave to Native Americans to trick them into signing over land so they know what they were doing when they were bringing alcohol and becoming it like mainstream basically. So as the years went on, it became more and more, you know, popular that people were drinking, and even led to like the prohibition. What a lot of people don't want to tell you is the energy that surrounds alcohol. I remember seeing this one video of this girl who was drunk and she literally looked like she was possessed, and she went into a back bend and she was crawling up the stairs. I was like, what the fuck? So it's like that energy when it comes to drinking is like also ties into the fact where people literally get blackout drunk and they're like, I don't remember doing that. Yeah, because you had a deity, a low vibration deity at that, take over your body and do whatever it wanted to do with you. That's why people get angry drunk or just do things that are so unexplained for while on alcohol. And also, how many people have died from alcohol poisoning, long-term drinking effects such as your liver? How many people have died from alcohol versus how many people have died from weed? And let me rephrase it, weed that wasn't laced at that. So just regular marijuana. Exactly. You can't overdose on weed. So my question is, why is it illegal? Because of the demonization that came with it, okay? And yet alcohol is legal over the age of 21, yet there are so many drunk drivers who kill thousands of people every single year, and yet they just get slapped on the wrist, a DUI, and then they get to drive again. Alcohol is so dangerous that it is literally the most dangerous drug to detox from. Worse than heroin heroin and different drugs like that. So my question is, why is it accessible to so many people, yet drugs that help people such as marijuana and also shrooms? If you didn't know, I have done shrooms probably about 8 or 9 times. So I would say I'm a pretty experienced person when it comes to doing shrooms, and just the revelations and downloads basically that I've gotten from shrooms and just the spiritual experience overall that I've had with shrooms is way different than I would have had if I was an active drinker, because drinking over time fucks up your body, bro. It fucks with your body. Weed, yeah, it may have a little smoker's lung here and there, but at the end of the day, like, it's not killing me like the way alcohol does. And by me saying that I did shrooms, no, I've never done acid, I've never done coke, molly, none of that. I call me the trifecta, or the drugs that I do, the trifecta. I got weed, nicotine, and shrooms, okay? And a little bit of DMT. I have tried DMT, but no, I really want to try DMT because I've seen like the spiritual experiences that people have had, and I've done DMT, but I want to blast off and talk with the universe about what the fuck is going on, okay? But at the end of the day, it really just shows you the way in which the government influences so many things and how they just care about profit over whether you're actually okay. It's so sad that westernized medicine has made it so people are so dependent on them that they will literally turn into addicts in order to keep feeding their addiction, because the dealers at the hospital, aka the doctors, are no longer feeding that addiction. I really made this video just because I was really inspired by the show Intervention and the way in which big pharma plays a really big part in a lot of addictions today. And I just wanted to touch light on my opinion and, you know, different things that happen within the system and the history of the system and why we are the way that we are today. So dependent on big pharma to solve all the issues that we are able to solve within ourselves. Your body is telling you different things, especially if you care about chakras, look that shit up. Alright, but that's basically all I really have to talk about in this video. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll see you guys in my next one. Bye, guys.